Hello everybody, Calamity here, and today's video is going to be about the free weapon that you can grab during the Clink Clink Clash event that is currently going on right now in-game. Although the entire event is not out yet, you can still get the weapon and get it up to at least Refinement 3. So in this video, I'm just going to tell you how to get the weapon, what it does, and then we're going to go through every single Catalyst character in the entire roster currently that can take advantage of this weapon. And that's a lot to go over, so let's get started. So, how do you get the weapon? Obviously, come on over to the event page, and you just got to do the event stuff. If you're not seeing this page, keep in mind you have to be Adventure rank 20, and you have to complete, it does say you have to complete certain Archon quests, so keep that in mind to get the best experience for the event. But I think you can just skip right into it if you haven't done the Archon quest. Anyway, the event itself is pretty easy, right? You're just gonna go explore places in Nodcry and do there's like one small mini game, combat stuff, exploration stuff. Is very easy. And then once you get enough what's called Legion morale, you're gonna click the button over here, and there you go. There's the Etherlight Spindlelute. This is the event weapon. And these are the refinement materials right here, the golden strings. So just keep participating in the event as more parts of it get released. And what do you know, you'll have a brand spanking new 4-star weapon at Refinement 5. All for free! So what does the weapon actually do? First of all, it's a catalyst with an energy recharge substat. At the max level, this reaches up to 45.9% energy recharge, which is actually that's like a really good chunk of energy recharge right there. That could cover some characters' energy needs alone. And the base attack will be at 510, I think, once fully upgraded. And right now is also a good time to upgrade it, mind you, because the domain materials are all open without, there's no like restriction or day restriction. It's all open now, so you can go farm them if you want to get this to level 90 as soon as possible. Moving on to the weapon's effect, it's called the Last Singer. So for 20 seconds after you use your elemental skill, the equipping character's elemental mastery is increased by 100. So it's just the equipping character, it's not a team buff, but it is pretty good. This is only at Refinement 1, so at Refinement 5 this will be 200 elemental mastery. And because it's so general, this is a great weapon for many characters on the roster. I'm sure you'll find somebody that can take advantage of this weapon. It's really good, despite it being so basic. Now you might be asking or wondering, okay, who should be using the weapon? And honestly, there's a lot of Catalyst characters we can go through here, but I'm gonna try to go through this list somewhat fast, right? I don't want to talk about one character in particular for too long, but this is a lot to go over, so we're just gonna go through it. So first, the newest character to be added is Lauma, and is it good for her? Absolutely. Why? If we take a look at her talents, she scales off of elemental mastery right there. Even though she's not the one that's proccing the bloom stuff, she is all about the elemental mastery, so giving her a huge chunk of it for free is going to be great. She's always going to be using her skill. And of course, the energy recharge also going to be nice so that she can have a decent burst uptime. In fact, her burst is only 60, so this is going to help a lot. Like, you won't have to invest heavily into energy recharge if you have this weapon on her. And it's also just a free weapon, right? So you don't have to pull for her 5-star weapon if you don't have the gems or you just want to save, etc, etc. Definitely worth something considering. Next up is Aoife, and it is also he's also a great user for this weapon. Why? He also scales off elemental mastery. His healing scales off elemental mastery, and yes, the energy recharge will also be nice for him as well. Next up is Varessa, and I would say this weapon is okay. It's something to consider, I guess, but she is more of a classic main DPS, meaning that she doesn't really want just elemental mastery or energy recharge. She would prefer a weapon that gives a bunch of attack percentage, crit rate, crit damage, things like that, more offensive stats. But it's not like a complete waste on her if you have nothing better to give her, but consider your other options. Next up is Yumi Mizuki, and yes, good user for this weapon as well. Why? Also scales with elemental mastery for the swirls and her heals. So good weapon overall, and for those of you that picked her up for free, this weapon could also be used on her. So you can get free character and free weapon. It's a win-win. Next up is Lanyan, and she can use this weapon, but it's not gonna fit her that well because we can see here she scales off attack for her shields, not elemental mastery, so it's not gonna be that great. The energy recharge, sure, but other than that, she does have better options. Next up is Silali, and yes, if you don't have her signature weapon or a different 5-star weapon to give her, definitely consider it because her shield scales off elemental mastery. And we can see here one of her passive talents, her skill and burst get increased damage based off her elemental mastery. So this is definitely going to be great for Silali, and of course we love having her burst be as active as possible with little downtime. So this is a great weapon to consider for her, especially for those that don't have the signature. Next up is Mualani, and yeah, this one can be a decent option for her, although the energy recharge, you know, not so much. She's not a character that needs it that badly, and just like Varessa, who we talked about earlier, she is more of a main DPS with HP scaling, so she would prefer crit rate, crit damage, and HP percentage for better DPS results. Although, like I said, Elemental Mastery is not a waste though on her. Next up is Jian Yun. I'm pretty sure I butchered that name like I do with half the cast, but anywho, the weapon is okay on her at best because remember that she scales with, she scales with attack for her heals. So if that's something you care about, then yeah, you'll want to maybe give her a different weapon. Although the energy recharge, again, nice for the burst uptime, but she does have better options out there. Next up is Charlotte, and not really a good option for her because elemental mastery on cryo characters not the best. I mean, like, you're not going to be melting with Charlotte anyways. She is more of just a healer, and her healing is scaling off of her attack, not elemental mastery. So not really a great option there. Ricely, kind of the same thing. He is cryo, so if you are using him in a melt team, it is something to consider. But obviously for freeze, yeah, he has shatters, but you know, not really the best weapon to give him. He does want, you know, just like the other main DPS characters we talked about, just more attack percentage, more crit rate, more crit damage is probably what you want to go for instead. Next up is Nuvolette, and not really for him because he just wants HP percentage all the way through for his charge attacks, for his skill, for his burst. It's all scaling with his HP. And not to mention, Nuvolette is just one of those characters where he applies so much hydro damage so frequently that, you know, like, it's very hard to do like constant reactions with him. That's why elemental mastery is not really a stat you want to invest heavily into your Nuvolette. So yeah, not really that great. Next up is Baiju, and he's mainly your healer slash shielder for Dendro team, so not gonna be the best for him with the elemental mastery because you can see here he just wants that sweet HP percentage or flat HP. The energy recharge, again, also being really nice, but we want as much HP as possible. Next up is Wanderer, and it can be okay considering the teams you're using him on. If he's swirling a lot, sure, but no, you definitely just want crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage. Much higher priority for him than elemental mastery. It's not like the worst thing though. Next up is Nahida, and the energy recharge, I will say, is a little wasted on her because she doesn't need that much energy recharge. Mine only has to like give you a comparison, mine only has 111% energy recharge, and she's able to burst so frequently that I get the burst back before her current burst ends. So that's, you know, it's not really something she needs. Although I will say that, you know, the elemental mastery that she's getting from the weapon is really good though. So I would only use it if you don't have another character that can take advantage of the energy recharge aspect of the weapon. Next up is Haizo, and it can be a decent option for him if you're using him as sort of like a driver in the team, if he's like your 4-star Mizuki basically. So things like electro charge teams where you put a bunch of, you know, like official and a Kokomi or something, and then you just have him swirl all that stuff and do all the electro charge stuff, it could be okay. But other than that, he's still a character that wants offensive stats, just like Wanderer. You're better off giving him the crit rate, the crit damage, you know, attack percentage, stuff like that. Next up is Yai Miko, and this can definitely be something to consider for her because she has an expensive burst cost of 90, so the energy recharge helps. Also, she's going to see a lot more value with this weapon if you are using her in a aggravate team, because the higher the elemental mastery is, the more damage they will take from the reaction. So yeah, elemental mastery is really easy, and you're going to be spamming her skills all the time. So good weapon option for Yai Miko. Now I'm going to knock out two characters at the same time because they're basically the same thing. Kokomi and Barbara. Basically, if you're using them for bloom reactions, like you're doing Barbara bloom, Kokomi is your bloom driver, then yeah, the weapon will be good for them. Although the energy recharge, debatable, but it's a nice chunk of elemental mastery for them. Next up is Yan Fei. Just like all the other main DPSs I've been mentioning before, crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage have higher priority, but elemental mastery is not wasted. Energy recharge also not wasted. You're just gonna have to get your more offensive stats from your artifacts, which can be frustrating, right? Next up is Klee, and elemental mastery on Klee is just not good because Klee does so much pyro damage, right? It's hard to consistently do reactions with her, and she's mainly used in mono pyro teams, which doesn't take advantage of any elemental mastery, so not really a good weapon for her at all. Next up is Mona, and I would only recommend this weapon for Mona if she is going to be, again, like a driver or like the main DPS on your team. Then you could consider it, and also because she turns energy recharge into damage, similar to Raiden Shogun, although it only applies to her burst. But if she is just your buffer slash debuffer, right, which she's using like a Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers, then there's no need to swap weapons or anything. It's not going to do much for her, because it's only if it was like a team buff, right, like I mentioned earlier, then you could consider. But no, it only gives to the wearer, which is Mona. Next up is Sucrose, and she is definitely a good user for this weapon. However, is it going to be her best free to play weapon? Probably not, because you have other options to consider, like the like a lot of Sucrose mains will use sacrificial fragments, which does give slightly more EM, I think, at Refinement 5. Or I don't even think you need Refinements. I just think it gives slightly more Elemental Mastery at max level. And then the other thing to consider is that a lot of people also give Sucrose the Thrilling Tales as well. So you might not want to part with a 48% attack buff for a bit more Elemental Mastery. Because most Sucroses have a lot of it by default, right? Well, you build towards it, so... definitely needs a little bit of experimenting, but if you don't have the other weapons I mentioned, or you want to try something different on your Sucrose, consider. Ningguang is just no, because Elemental Mastery and Geo do not really go hand in hand. Like, yeah, there is the Crystallize thing, but no, just no. And then we already talked about Barbara and Kokomi being the same thing. Lisa is going to be the same thing as Yai Miko as well, so if you're using her in an Aggravate team, this is going to be good. Energy recharge for more burst uptime, and Elemental Mastery for a better aggravate effect. So yes, good for Lisa if you're using her in those teams. And that is basically every single Catalyst character in the game. And yeah, if you were listening to the yapping, basically the weapon's actually good for a lot of characters out there. So, you know, this is actually a good event weapon from Hoyoverse. You definitely don't want to miss out on this weapon. It's actually a good one. And don't be lazy on the event. Get it done as soon as you can, and get the weapon as soon as you can, so you don't have to worry about it. And that's going to be it for me. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you found this content a little bit helpful for you. I'll be making more in the future, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.